Steve Schneider around the boot. It's year number 2, and we're headed across the Atchafalaya to Acadiana. Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, KTC, always a favorite on the show. And Jamarcus, I just last week on our Spotlight show previewed LCA and STM. Seemed like very similar stories, and that kind of a year for some redemption because they met in the Superdome against each other year before last. And they have quarterbacks who have a year under their belt who could be ready to do some big things.
Yeah, no doubt, Steve. Thanks for having me on as always. Like you mentioned, the quarterbacks that these two teams have are phenomenal. Our jamborees, the Kiwanis Jamboree was on Friday night, and I got a chance to watch St. Thomas More and Cecilia go at it back and forth with each other. And in that matchup, you saw why Cole Bergeron is definitely committed to Virginia Tech. He looked very precise. He put on an absolute clinic. He threw for 3 touchdowns, all of them coming in the first half. Obviously with, being first half and second half, the quarters, that is.
Yeah, it's a quarter.
By halftime, he was sitting.
Not a half, it's a quarter. He threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, by the time that quarter was over, he was sitting down at halftime, and they had a 24 nothing lead, I believe it was, at half. So he looked very precise. He looks like he has a ton of chemistry with his receivers, some guys that can really go out and make plays for him. But then their running back, out of their running back room, also looked really good in the times that he handed it off to him. But Cole Bergeron looked really good. And then for LCA, Braylon Walker, the Raging Cajuns commit, has a lot of synergy with guys on his offensive side of things. Braden Allen, who's committed to Tulane, and so many playmakers. They always seem to have that factory over there. Both of those schools in LCA and STM seem to be a quarterback factory over the past couple of years. Obviously, Jawan Johnson at LSU, and is probably going to play a key factor in their offense coming up this season. Walker Howard with the Raging Cajuns, Sam Altman with the Raging Cajuns as well. So both schools produce great quarterbacks, and they're poised to have another really good quarterback coming out this season for their senior years, respectively.
So you mentioned Cecilia. They've been the big story the last 2 years, the first 2 years of our network. Obviously, things expected to fall off just because of who and what they lost. Catholic New Iberia, a championship. VC, a championship. And then there's schools like Westgate and Southside that we're kind of keeping an eye on. What is your kind of handicapping or your vision from off-season interviews, reports, scrimmages, and jamborees on some of those teams?
Yeah, man, Cecilia, it kind of looks like they're going to lean a lot on Braylon Calais. Obviously, he's one of the top recruits coming out of his junior class in the state of Louisiana. I think, replacing Diesel Solari is going to be such a big thing for them, trying to figure out what they need to do. They had a quarterback in there last night, and he managed the offense fairly okay, obviously. I was talking with a coach on the sideline, and he said that, at the time, STM is kind of more of your tier 1 type of school, and they were clicking. And Cecilia is kind of a tier 2, tier 3 type of school right now. And that he just believes that by the time they get to district play, that's when they'll be able to figure things out. It's just that they're playing against a really good bit of competition. Early on, they'll have some non-district games where they'll be able to iron some things out and figure things out offensively. And then once they get into district play, they can
try to do. They try to play these really good teams to expose what they need to fix.
Absolutely. I mean, the Notre Dame Pios and Louis Cook, they're a prime example of that. I mean, they always play 5A, 4A schools, even though they're in Class 2A. And that way, by the time they get to district play, they're just steamrolling it. And that's why they've been the kings of that district for so many years, back to back to back, over so much time. So Vermilion Catholic obviously has to replace one of the best football players, not just quarterbacks, but football players that we've seen in a very long time in the state of Louisiana, and Jonathan Dartez. I know they lost one of their assistant coaches. That's now the head coach over at Kaplan. Southside looked extremely well in their jamboree against Northside last night. They ran the football extremely well. Parker Dees looked really good and decisive, and what decisions he needed to make in the ride and decides, and the passes that he had down the field. So those are just a couple of teams that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I haven't had a chance to get out to to Catholic of New Iberia just yet, but I know that they're still on that high of winning a state championship, bringing that to the program there with Coach Desimo down there in that program. So it should be interesting to see, man. Once now that all of your scrimmages and jamborees are over, everything matters now, and so all of your tune-ups are out of the way. So you now really want to see what are your guys going to be able to produce and give you wins and losses on Friday nights.
Well, I've got a preview coming up with Westgate this week and Southside as well, and of course we've got a game of the week this season with Notre Dame and Jennings, which should be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So we look forward to talking to you again as we get into this season. Can it be better than last year or the year before? You wouldn't think so, but the evidence has been it's getting better every year.
No doubt.
For over 100 years, our families have gathered together to share with each other our challenges and hopes, to take this light we've been gifted and paint a brighter future for the next generation. The seeds we plant today are the bounty we harvest tomorrow. As farmers, we know that together we're stronger than we could ever be apart. We're the Louisiana Farm Bureau, and we're the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
If you want to break the rock, you need to make yourself indestructible. If you want to play between the hedges, you need to work out there, up there, down there, everywhere. If you want to reach the win bar, you need to lose sleep, lose count. You need to play every game like you got nothing to lose.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Around the Boot. Steve Schneider now pleased to be joined by the legend in New Orleans, Crescent City Sports, Ken Trahan. And Ken, we're back for a second season of this show, third season of championships in the Superdome. And I don't think it can get any better than the last 2 years, but I said that last year, and lo and behold, it seemed to be better.
It's been great. Clearly, when you think about high school football and the fact that you have the ability to play all these games in one facility, first of all, and secondly, a facility like this, it's special. And the fact that we started this in 1981, and I did the first game in the Dome on radio, great memories. In fact, Bill Curl conceived the idea and brought it to fruition, and it was all because of the St. Augustine Jesuit game in 1979, which drew over 44,000 fans for one game in a championship game. And Bill said, hey, why don't we try to get all the games in here, approach the LHSAA. The rest is history. And here we are, 44 years down the road. Yeah, look, it's special. You don't have to worry about weather. It's safe. It's a special venue. The kids get to play in an NFL facility, which has been renovated many times now. So, yeah, it's fantastic. And really looking forward to the season, Steve.
So we're looking forward to the season. We've seen scrimmages, jamborees. Is it still Edna Carr and everybody else?
I would certainly put them at the top of the heap. I don't know that they could possibly be as good as they were last year. I don't know how you go undefeated and just wipe everybody out with the exception of Catholic, who played them tough. But they're very good again. They're big, they're fast, they're deep, and they're well coached. Other than that, they're no good. So they're very good. No, I certainly think they were the best team in Louisiana last year in any class. And going into this year, I would say the same thing. And, of course, they've got Archbishop Shaw to start, a defending state champion. But then week 2, they're playing one of the top 10 teams in the country, American Heritage. And that'll be, of course, in the Caesars Superdome, and we're heavily involved in that with Crescent City Sports. And they're going to honor our friend Ed Daniels with that particular event. But that is going to be some game because American Heritage is terrific. And the other game, the doubleheader, is good. And I think LHSAA Network's part of that with University Lab and Archbishop Rummel. So it's a good night. Looking forward to that. But, yeah, I think we'll find out a lot about Carr very quickly. But I do think going in, they are the team to beat in that class and also the best team in Louisiana until proven otherwise.
Right, and the Cougars are nationally ranked. I guess not quite top 10, but definitely somebody that everybody in the country is watching. Who are a couple of other teams that you're really excited to see how their season pans out? They look like legit contenders. You might see them in the Superdome. Just waiting to see.
Well, sorry, I mentioned Catholic. I mean, Catholic's going to be there every year, and there's no doubt they never rebuild. They reload. The numbers are fantastic. Hudson Fuller does a great job. They got really good facilities. They've got it going, and they've been that program for a long time. They've got Division I talent again, extremely well coached. I certainly would put them in that category in that particular division. St. Thomas More is obviously a very good team, but watch out for St. Augustine, extremely talented football team. Could have easily won at STM in the playoffs last year. They got a ton back. Robert Valdez is the state championship coach. Saw them jamboree last night. They're really good. So I would definitely pay close attention to them. Acadiana, Alexandria, John Curtis Christian's good. Don't sleep on Archbishop Rummel, always good. Brother Martin's got good players. Again, that class in Select Division I is loaded. It's really good. A non-select one, what Central did last year to Ruston was shocking to a lot of people. I don't know anybody saw that coming in terms of not so much that they won the game, but the way the game unfolded. So, and of course, Coach Semino's done a fantastic job there. They'll be good again. Trahan's going to be a good football team. We all know about Ruston and what Ruston is able to do, but everybody in that class, that whole Northeast Louisiana district is a danger, is a threat on that side of things. And for that matter, on the select side, I can't dismiss Alexandria. Alexandria's been to the state championship game twice in 5 years now, so they haven't won it, but Coach Bachman does a great job. So, yeah, in Division I, I think those are clearly some of the teams to watch.
So our season opener Thursday night is Newman with a new head coach and playing in Laplace against St. Charles Catholic, a team that just, seems to always be the hardworking guys that maybe don't get a lot of pub, but always end up contending, if not making it to the Dome.
Wayne Stein's a great coach. He's one of the guys that splits duties and coaches baseball and football. We've got like 3 of those guys now in this neck of the woods. Boomer Nunez is doing it at STA, Carl Williams at East Jefferson, and of course Wayne's doing it at St. Charles Catholic. A brilliant attention to detail coach. When you play the Comets, 2 things. Their kicking game is going to be astonishing, and they're going to be very physical, and you're going to have to go out and beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. They had a strange year last year, not the kind of year that we're accustomed to seeing from St. Charles Catholic, but all the more reason why they'll be that good this year. They're motivated, and they had a young team last year, so they're back. Newman, Aaron Weiss, you know him very well, comes from your neck of the woods, good coach, good man, and taking over for a really good coach in Nelson Stewart. And Newman's got size. Newman has to replace a really good quarterback, of course, but that's a good program. And I suspect it's going to be a fairly seamless transition with Coach Weiss coming in. So, yeah, that's a really good game. That's a rivalry game, too. So that's been one to watch for several years, both in the regular season and in the postseason.
I've been to them, and they are always very competitive, spirited, and we're looking forward to it. And looking forward to having you on another Around the Boot show really soon. So, Ken, thanks for joining us, and let's have a great week 1.
I'm looking forward to it. It's here. Let's go. Let's have some fun with this. And we'll do that on radio. We'll do that on Crescent City Sports. Louisiana Radio Network's picking up our show to distribute it all over the state. So 6 hours on Friday nights on radio and 106.7 the Chicken in New Orleans. So let's go. Let's have some fun.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Steve. Always a pleasure.
Take care.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Protect what matters most to you and find out the many ways you can benefit. 100% free tuition and fees to all state colleges. Job training in over 150 different career fields, healthcare, pay, and much more. The Louisiana Army National Guard, part-time service with lifelong benefits. Find out more by visiting www.lang-recruiting.com.
No one ever thinks they'll be in this position. Buying medication online could put you here, or here, or here. Counterfeit pills and other illicit substances are being laced with fentanyl, and fentanyl kills. It's 50 times stronger than heroin. Medical professionals can't even tell the difference between a real pill and one that is fake. At least not until they do your autopsy. Don't take anything online that doesn't come from your doctor. Buying online can leave you flatlined.
For over 100 years, our families have gathered together to share with each other our challenges and hopes, to take this light we've been gifted and paint a brighter future for the next generation. The seeds we plant today are the bounty we harvest tomorrow. As farmers, we know that together we're stronger than we could ever be apart. We're the Louisiana Farm Bureau, and we're the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
Welcome back to Around the Booth. Steve Schneider now pleased to join Harrison Vapnek, KALB in Cenla. Harrison, good to talk to you again, and hit us with the big expectations that you have in your area. Obviously, a team that was in the Superdome last year and has been to 2 of the last 5 state championships has to be where we would start.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back, Steve, and you hit on it out of the gate last year for Cenla football. From the research I did and what I was told, last year was the best year ever for Cenla football. First time putting 4 teams in the state semifinals, 1 team in the Superdome. You just mentioned the Alexandria Trojans. They lose a lot on offense with JT Lindsay and Darius Washington and Jimmy Duncan. But they're going to be back. Carson Sellers, one of the best quarterbacks in the state, in my opinion, going to just his junior year. The sky is the limit for him, and people want to know how they're going to fill, the Warwick Dunn Award winner JT Lindsay and his production out of the backfield. Kaysen Williams and Noble Williams, no relation. They're both sophomores, and they're both incredible. It's like thunder and lightning almost. Physical backs. There was a play that Kaysen made against Sterlington in the Jamboree or in the scrimmage. He broke 5 tackles and scored a touchdown, and it looked like old times. Alex Fontenot already has offers from UL, and he's probably going to get some bigger ones in the near future. A wide receiver, he's very good. And keep your eye out on Josh Mercer's defense. I think they have forced like 15 turnovers or whatever in 2 preseason games. They're going to be all over again, and a run back to the Superdome could be in the cards, even with a tough schedule.
Thomas Bachman is one of those coaches. It's not a team, it's a program. Yes, a standard. You hear a lot of coaches talk about that. We're going to, coach to the standard.
They're going to be okay. Like, again, as Bachman says all the time, like we've lost great players before, and they're just going to keep reloading, and they're going to put their head down and get back to work. And, I think they kind of like how people are doubting them in power rankings. They're in the 20s and, number 9 in their own power ranking when they beat all the other teams ahead of them. I think they quietly like that.
Now, some other teams that you have your eye on, you got a couple of maybe front runners.
Yeah, I mean, the Bunkie Panthers over the last 2 years, I think, are like 22-3, 21-3 under Jimmy Hillman since he took over. They had immediate success. Obviously, they lose 2 very impactful players in Dylan Compton, who's now at Southern, and Kyle Johnson, who I'm about to go watch for the first time play at Mississippi State on TV in a couple minutes from when we're recording this. But their defense, who was one of the best in the state last year, regardless of class, returns a whole lot on that side. Ron Patterson, Luke Norman, Lucas Mose, Zion Lee, who, I was watching him last night in the Jamboree, and he gets the rock, and he looks like Marshawn Lynch, just running guys over and just running through contact for 20 yards every time he touches it. New quarterback, Austin Fitzgerald, still a bit of unknown with him, but, their offense is simple. If he makes the right reads, guys are going to get open. I think Bunkie, another undefeated season, the regular season, could be in the cards for them just because of the talent. They have so many kids on that roster for, a small school like Bunkie, and their staff does a great job. And the other one are the Gina Giants, who have played in 2 straight state semifinals. for the first time ever. A lot of new players on defense. Coach Roark says that the scrimmages and the jamborees were really meant to get those guys up to speed, and he likes how they're developing. You know, they have a huge week 1 game on the road against Mangum, and then they got to go play Menard on the road. So some tough out-of-district competition, but they think once they hit the heart of district play, that they're going to be as good as ever. And on the offensive side, Daniel Hatcher and Cedric Wilson, the junior and senior running back, combined for just under 3,000 yards last year, which is pretty incredible. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Gina open up the passing game a little more this year. That was a bit of a flaw last year. Sometimes they would fall behind and they wouldn't be able to throw downfield. I think you're going to see a little better passing offense from the Giants this year.
In about a minute, are there some other players or dark horses that you could talk about in the Cenla area?
I think you have to keep your eye out on Marksville. That's a team I saw in the Jamboree last night, and it was like shockingly impressive. Devin Laviola, who we've talked about as one of the best basketball players on this show, he is their starting quarterback, and he can run. He is one of the most athletic players, and he has a new wide receiver one, a player you might also recognize. I have a story on him coming out on Friday. Armani Benjamin. He has not played football since he was in like grade school. And now with his dad, Oki, going to Marksville to coach basketball, he's now on the varsity football team, and he is legit. He is Armani's a tall kid. He's super athletic. You throw him the ball on the outside, he's going to make a play. I really like what Marksville is building. Staying in that same district, Buckeye, they a ton of talent on their defense. Coach York, when he had a lot of success at St. Mary's, I think he's starting to carry that over to Buckeye. They had a very impressive year 1. I think they can do it again in year 2. And maybe one other one, like Leesville football. I know Xavier Ford is, starring at Minnesota now, but they're not going away. Like Trell Broom, who was a sophomore last year, he's grown. He's taken some strides. I don't think that Leesville offense is going to quite look the same running the ball like 60 times a game, but they're going to find new ways, and I think Leesville will be in the thick of things when we hit playoff time.
We're excited to get there. We're going to have the Friday Night in the Boot show on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, so folks have a chance to watch that in your neck of the woods if they're not on the app. And obviously game week 2 for our game of the week. Yeah. It'll be Alexandria hosting the Union Parish Farmers. So
that was Ash got a big win against them last year, but that's not a team that Ash can sleep on. I'm so excited to have a big national spotlight game here in Cenla.
The LHSAA Network TV app features a 24/7 live channel as well as on-demand content with all the high school sports you want, and it's totally free. The app is available for download on TV-connected devices, including Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. It's the only place where every day is game day. Download the LHSAA Network TV app today.
So it's going to come down to this.
Can they do it?
Oh no, they missed it! Wait a minute! There's a flag on the play!
Protect what matters most to you and find out the many ways you can benefit. 100% free tuition and fees to all state colleges. Job training in over 150 different career fields, healthcare, pay, and much more. The Louisiana Army National Guard, part-time service with lifelong benefits. Find out more by visiting www.lang-recruiting.com.
For over 100 years, our families have gathered together to share with each other our challenges and hopes, to take this light we've been gifted and paint a brighter future for the next generation. The seeds we plant today are the bounty we harvest tomorrow. As farmers, we know that together we're stronger than we could ever be apart. We're the Louisiana Farm Bureau, and we're the voice of Louisiana agriculture.
Behind the Boot, Steve Schneider, season number 2, episode 1, and batting cleanup, Aaron Dietrich, the legend up in the Monroe area. Aaron, Sterlington won last year, but there's lots of storylines and lots of teams to follow. Tell me what you've seen in the offseason, the scrimmages, the jamborees.
Well, yeah, once again, Northeast Louisiana is loaded. I think you first of all have to start, of course, in 5A with Ruston. The Bearcats have made 3 consecutive trips to the Dome. Of course, that has produced 1 state championship. They have lost so many talented players over the last 3 years, especially this past season, but they believe they just reloaded over there. And in the Bayou Jam out here at Malone Stadium last night versus Neville, they looked pretty darn good. They dug themselves a 10-0 hole. They rallied, and they rallied big time. The Bearcats came back to win that thing 13-10. Jared Ball's team's going to be all right, to say the least. Neville, they feature Parker Robinson at quarterback. They got to replace Jalen Nichols, an outstanding running back who's left for North Carolina. The Tigers believe they've got a team that can certainly make a run for a state championship. Everybody remembers they lost in the semifinals to Central in heartbreaking fashion. Neville is once again primed to be a state championship contender. Look out for Ouachita this year. They are loaded. They got some speed. They got some big old guys, and Dylan Berryman up front on the defensive front. He's a 300-pounder that's committed to Texas. They got MJ Dade at running back. They got Montrell Connor at quarterback. They got some other playmakers. Don't sleep on Ouachita this year. And finally, it's weird to say it, but West Monroe may actually be a dark horse this year. The Mighty Rebels are back. They have 42 seniors on this squad. It is a whopping number. They think with new head coach DeMichael Geyser, this is the year that they can do something special.
There are so many teams up there with pedigree. I mean, Oak Grove, OCS, Union Parish. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, I just talked about the 5A ranks. Obviously, Oak Grove, you always got to think about them. They're always in contention. The Magnum Dragons also, you look at the last 5 years under Scott Wiltshire, 3 quarterfinal appearances, 2 semifinal appearances. They believe this is the year that they, kick down that door and make it back to the Superdome. They looked really good in the Bayou Jam. They handled their business versus Richwood. You mentioned OCS. It's remarkable, Steve, that Stephen Fitzhugh is now in his 28th year as the head coach at OCS. You really don't see that nowadays. Stephen Fitzhugh continues to do an amazing job. The Eagles, once again, will be a contender. Joe Spadafora, last year, the fact they did not make it to the Superdome. Farmers fans have always, booked that reservation to the state championship game. Heck, they've been there 4 consecutive years. Obviously, last year they lost in the semifinals. They believe, once again, they will be in that Superdome come December.
It's hard to imagine after our first 2 years, the games that we've had in that Superdome, the dramatic moments, couldn't get any better. But then I just feel like maybe it will. Just the way that sport is supported in this state, the athletes who are aware of everybody else and what they're doing and the work they're putting in to try to get better. Just maybe comment about how it just seems to get better and better, and some of the great players that we're going to see this year.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's the Bayou Jam, 19th year they've had this thing up there. I believe it's now the longest and largest jamboree in the state of Louisiana. And last night I was just looking around. I was like, it doesn't get any better than this, Steve. It seems like every single year the excitement remains the same. Some would say even amps up a notch or 2 every single year. This state is awesome just in terms of the number of great athletes that will continue to produce. But listen, the coaches continue to get it done. The fan bases get rowdier every single year. And ultimately, everybody wants to make that trip down to New Orleans. And you got to believe, we had this conversation on the radio this week. How many teams across the state start the year dreaming of the Superdome? Of course, all of them. You have to believe, 70, 60 teams have a realistic chance of making it down there this year? And a number of those teams reside right here in Northeast Louisiana.
Hey, there's been talk this summer about, maybe eventually the split. They do away with it. They come back, and then there's fewer games. What would that look like with how many good teams there are? You have an opinion? How do you come down on that?
Yeah, even with the split, I believe now, even with district play, district championships still mean a lot to a number of teams. We look at, District 2-5A. Ash, of course, now is a select squad, but, they're in this district with, West Monroe, Ouachita, Neville, and Ruston. And I think that's going to be one of the funnest districts to watch this year because quite frankly, it's a toss-up who's going to win that. And you throw in a select team like Ash. Ash was up here earlier this week, and they looked extremely good against Sterlington. So, yeah, even though we still do have this split, the competition is healthy, and I think the caliber of football continues to be outstanding in the state of Louisiana.
Aaron Dietrich at the Bayou Jam, reporting basically like a live setting there for us on Around the Boot. Always a pleasure to talk with you, and looking forward to a great season right off the bat here with Week 1.
Yeah, Steve, we'll see the LHSAA network in Northeast Louisiana very soon, but keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thank you. That's going to put
Thanks,
a wrap
Zach.
on this week's show. Around the Boot, Steve Schneider and the LHSAA Network. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.